the Socialist squad leader furiously slamming the president's border wall U-turn, which has him building 20 new miles of barrier in Texas. Biden continues to say that walls don't work, but he had no choice. The big bad Republicans in Congress tied his hands and forced him to build it. But AOC says that excuse ain't going to cut it. Quote, the president needs to take responsibility for this decision and reverse course. Walls only serve to push migrants into more remote areas, increasing their chances of death. It is a cruel policy. AOC is also airing her grievances from her couch.
It's a terrible idea. I think it's a broken promise. But additionally, let's say you completely disagree on this. You could build a great big Trumpy wall on the entire U.S. southern border, and it's still not going to fix this problem. The U.S. and U.S. foreign policy is contributing to the displacement of millions of people in South America to begin with. And if we do not address the migrant crisis at its root, it is still going to continue to be a problem.
Wait, Judge, did she just get to the root causes?
Yeah, she should call up Kamala. I mean, the causes are that the U.S. foreign policy is contributing to people trying to get into the United States. This is so crazy. Look, Joe Biden, when he's asked, why did you do this? He said, I was told I had no choice. So the president of the United States isn't really willing to explain anything. And Karine Jean-Pierre says he is complying with the law which requires him to build a wall. So the people in press said, well, what law is that? Where does it say he's got to build the wall? And Karine Jean-Pierre says, well, I don't know. Call the Department of Justice. I'm not a lawyer. They don't even know why. They know why because they're on the bottom in terms of the polls. But I think the interesting thing about all this is that they made a decision. People on the left, like AOC, are furious. So he's now in a tough situation because the progressives who helped get him in are now furious with him. So to me, he can't reconcile the two. He can't say, well, here's the law, I had to do it. And now, by the way, the Venezuelans, 470,000 of them were welcomed 2 weeks ago. We were getting them all work permits. Now he's going to start deporting them. Either he's a schizophrenic or had a lobotomy. I don't know which one it is. But here's the bottom line point. The bottom line is this. Joe Biden, because he is angering the progressives, because his numbers are so bad, they've got to move from the left. He's not going to be running it for president. They're going to put somebody else in. He can't make the two ends meet. He's a goner now.
Jessica, do you believe that's the reason we're seeing record migration is because the United States is meddling in Latin America, which we have been doing for, what, hundreds of years?
I think that people in a post-COVID world, or towards the end and now post-COVID, are picking up in the numbers in terms of coming in, or certainly making the journey. What happened with Title 42 has to do with it.
COVID.
Well, COVID certainly had an effect on mass migration all over the world, not just here with our southern border. The policy, though, that Biden's talking about is the 2019 rule that Congress passed. So it's Congress's job to do this. Biden says we tried to reappropriate the funds. They wouldn't let us do it. But I do think that there's hidden benefits to this. Remember when the courts kept saying that Title 42 had to be extended? So the Biden administration could say, it's not us, we don't want it. But it ended up being something that was kind of stymieing migration a little bit. So this might have kind of like the backhanded benefit. But Biden should really consider embracing, I'm not saying going as far as deporter in chief, but both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama had reputations for being quite harsh about the border. And it didn't hurt them electorally. They both got resoundingly reelected. And that is an option here. And the fact that people like Mayor Adams are heading down to the border, what's going on in Chicago, D.C., and everyone is apoplectic about it, you might want to embrace being a little bit harsher about it and just own it.
You remember when you were bragging a couple months ago that Biden reduced illegal immigration? I remember.
No, you got
I remember that. I remember you were spiking the football. He fixed the problem. Mission accomplished.
I said that there was an app.
Kennedy. Yeah, the app's broken. It got hacked by the cartels. Kennedy.
Okay, so there are a number of things going on here. AOC, God, if only she knew someone in Congress, because we have a horrible immigration system. We also have awful border security. Those are two separate things. But liberals like to just talk about immigration and border security as though border security and a fence is so inhumane. Well, a bad immigration system is also inhumane, and it is also so complicated and so bureaucratic, it's impossible for people to immigrate to this country legally. It is so much easier to go to Mexico or go to Honduras or El Salvador, go through Mexico and come into this country because you can pretty much work anywhere. The system is set up for that. What I love is in New York City, we have a congresswoman who represents part of New York City and the mayor of New York City at odds on this very issue. It is not up to the mayor to determine federal policy. It is up to the federal government. But they have completely given up their responsibility to protect this country and to protect this city. So now places like California, including Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York, have to rethink what it means to be a sanctuary city, because that is something they said in words. They never intended for this to happen and to have the welfare state completely overrun, because you cannot have a broken immigration system that leads to open borders and a massive welfare state. It is mathematically unsustainable.
Greg Gutfeld, when you see a politician lay down on the couch and explain things to you, does that make you more convinced or less?
I don't know. I got sleepy, though. I wanted some hot cocoa. I do want to know what the root cause is, but more important, I want to know if she really wants to know what the root cause is, because I think I know what it is. These people that are coming here prefer this evil, capitalistic, racist country, the country that people like AOC just trash every single day. And you know why they like this country? Because it's better. Too bad. What you're seeing is their progressive luxury beliefs implode before their eyes. Before the buses, she could pantomime her phony sorrow at the border and virtue signal over sanctuary cities. But now that her constituents are being affected, illegal immigrants are everywhere in New York City. They're in public spaces. They're using public services. They're even taking jobs, which actually for cheaper. They're taking jobs for cheaper pay. That's happening right now. That's got to be affecting the voters in her area. Until they address, until they address the border, they got to keep sending him. Send him to AOC's turf. Send him to her street. The only way we get to the point where the Democrats act, whether it's politically or morally, it's hard to tell, is if they feel the consequences of their own policies. So I say that, this was a stroke of genius, and it's working because now you're finally getting these people to the table. The next step is whether or not they're going to agree that assimilation is good or evil. Because remember, if you want to come here, you should want to assimilate because you love this country. You need to leave your flag behind, right? You don't come in and plant your flag. You have to come here and say, I love this place. I want to know why this place is so great. But if you say that, that means that somehow, that's our country's preferable to theirs, and that's racist.
Do you think AOC could say that the United States is better than Venezuela?
No.
You do think
No, that's not
We're
possible.
just different countries.
Yeah, different countries.
Okay.